we just told you that these are the topics in forging which are remaining for you to do as a self-study. I have told you maybe in the beginning and so on that you see there are 2 or 3 things apart from my lecturing and so on that we want in every student, especially engineers. The ability to read yourself and understand. Independent learning. It is called independent learning. And it is also called lifelong learning. That here during your bachelor's degree, we have prepared you so that wherever you go in your field, you can learn yourself. So some portions should always be there, especially as you are in the 4th year and 5th year and so on, which are self-study. It should not be that everything is taught and explained by the teacher. There should be some small topics which you can learn yourself. So this is one important thing, the ability to have independent learning ability or the lifelong learning ability. The second is the reading and understanding habit. In your future life, you will read a lot of manuals and books and standards and so on. And if you are very slow and if your comprehension, understanding is not very good, then it is bad. So this is a good practice for your reading and understanding ability also, right? So therefore, the small portions I generally would leave as self-study. So here we are just showing you the slides, types of forging, impression die forging, more details of the further, the same topic, advantages and limitations of impression die forging, right? What is the forging force in a general manner? Load, stroke, curve. Load. How much load should you have? And a stroke means how much the upper die or the punch travels. So that precision forging. What is precision forging? Then some others, precision forging, closed die forging, isothermal forging, incremental forging. They are basic. Orbital forging. Other miscellaneous forging operations, coining, heading, piercing, hubbing, cogging. If you remember, in 1 or 2 slides earlier, we used the word coining, we used the word piercing. So now small definitions that these are all forging operations, but what are fullering and edging, roll forging, skew rolling, they are all different kinds of forging operations. Coining in a little more detail, heading a little more detail, piercing, open die forging, but one type of open die forging which is called cogging. Roll forging, a combination of forging and rolling. Production of ball bearings, very, very strange. Normally ball bearings are not produced by this method, but a combination of forging and rolling called roll forging for production of ball bearings. Forging defects. What are the major defects? So lap formation, internal defects, effects of fillet radius on defect formation. You understand fillet? If there is a 90-degree corner and there is a very sharp edge, then there will be lots of defects. So you fillet it, you round it, right? So effect of fillet radius on defect formation. Die design. Some general things about die design for forging. Forging die design terminology, some general terms that are there in designing a die. Forging temperatures for general metals and alloys. Forging equipment, different types of equipment that are used for forging. This is the last topic in forging, right? This forging equipment thing. So let me recap again that we are in the chapter on bulk deformation, right? Bulk deformation means that we are changing the material, original raw material, which is called the stock material or the billet material, into the final shape without any material removal or machining, without any melting and solidification. So that is why we call it bulk deformation, that we deform the whole bulk. And in this category, the first major manufacturing process or operation that we studied was forging. We told you a lot about the description of forging and other things. And then we did quite a bit of mathematical part also, analysis and so on. And we did some very good examples of forging and so on. And we explained a few other topics from our side. And then we left a few slides for you to quickly go through it. Again, you see, when I am making a slide, this is my subject, this is my area. So just from the slide, I can explain a lot. For you, only the slide will not be enough. The slide has been made so that it is easier for you. But with the slide, you will have to quickly consult the portion of the book where this slide belongs to really understand it. So here in this portion, which is self-study, I just want you to quickly study these things, general definitions, general understanding, what is this operation, what is that operation, how is it done, and so on, so that I can ask you multiple choice or true, false, and so on, or very small theory questions from this area. Okay. And now forging is finished. So we will move on to the next big manufacturing process in bulk deformation area. So we start with rolling now, right? Rolling. Now again, I have told you in the beginning that it is not that forging is number one in bulk deformation and rolling is number two and so on. The numbers are not there. We are covering forging, rolling, extrusion, several major operations, major processes, which are bulk deformation operations. But the order is just because this is the order in this book. We could have started with rolling and it will be still the same, right? So rolling, as you know, right, the name rolls, we have already shown you the figure in the very beginning of the chapter. I showed you rolling, forging, and so on. We showed you roll forging just now. So whenever there are rollers, then a material is passed through the rollers and its height is changed and thickness is changed and so forth. And because you have already done a course on material science before coming here, so I keep on reminding you that in one of the practicals laboratory exercises, we gave you some brass plates, small brass plates, and we took you from the materials lab to the mechanical workshop, and there is a rolling machine and you actually did the rolling operation already, right? So you already know it. So let us see what is written here. Rolling is the process of reducing the thickness or changing the cross section of a long workpiece by compressive forces applied through a set of rolls, right? So this is it. Either we only change the thickness, that is it, that there is a plate which is 5 inches thick and we roll it to a 4-inch thickness. Of course, the width and the breadth of the plate will also change, right? So either we just change the thickness, or we can even do shape rolling. We change the cross-sectional shape. It was developed in the late 1500s, so it has been there for around 500 years already. It accounts for about 90% of all metals produced by metalworking processes. Now this is major. This is major. That you see, we have steel mills, they produce certain materials. We have aluminum factories which produce aluminum. But I have told you that, for example, from a steel mill, like I know two major ones. One is Valley Steel, a Brazilian company which is in Sohar, and the other is Muscat Steel here in Roussel. So now the steel mill, say Valley Steel, will produce the steel, whatever quality of steel you want, in big blocks or in big plates, and that's it. Then I have already told you that in the Muscat region even and in other cities, there are rolling mills, or they call it re-rolling mills. So you take the steel as big bulks, big blocks from the steel mill, you take it to the re-rolling mill, and then you give it the shape of a C channel, of an I channel, of an H shape, and so on, of an angle. And in all of the construction sector in the world, these shapes are used. So this sentence is very important, that about 90% of all metal produced are by rolling mills, and later on then they can be used for different types of manufacturing. Types of rolling processes: continuous rolling, transverse rolling, shaped rolling, ring rolling, powder rolling, continuous casting and hot rolling, thread rolling, right? So again, I keep on reminding you in different chapters, not just here, in different chapters, that any basic first course is a breadth first course, not a depth first. What I mean is, we cover a lot of areas, breadth, but we do not go into the details, depth of many. So in rolling, what is the main rolling operation? What is the general mathematics? How do we solve problems and calculate and so on? We will go into details. The others we will just skim so that we know. So these processes that we are showing you from 1 to 7, all of them we will not cover in a lot of detail. Some of it we will cover in a lot of detail with a very strong understanding, and some of it with just sort of general knowledge. This is the basic rolling process. As I keep on telling you, these are schematic drawings. Schematic drawings, which means that no actual material and dimension and so on are there, but the principle is there. So there is a set of rollers always. Can't be just one roller. Can't be just one. Has to be two. Has to be two at least. So right, it is rolling in this direction. It is rolling in this direction. Together they are pulling this material through. So this is the workpiece. Once it touches this, then this is rolling, and this is going there, right? The major things are the rolls are there, the workpiece is there. What is the force that we apply on the roll? What is the velocity of the rolls? And what is the velocity of the material that goes through it? You see, a very nice example, some of you, if you have seen places where they give you sugarcane juice, qasb, right? Sugarcane juice. So you see, sugarcane is like a long rod cylinder, and they just push it through the rollers and the juice comes out. So the process is exactly the same there, because sugarcane qasb is a soft material. So by this rolling, it is not just that the thickness reduces into almost a flat paper, but the juice comes out. But the rolling is the same thing, right? So metal is passed between two rolls that rotate in opposite directions. Friction acts to propel the material forward, to force the material forward. Metal is squeezed and elongates, right, to compensate for the decrease in cross-sectional area. So the thickness decreases, the cross-sectional area decreases, but on the other side, the length or width, or call it whatever, will increase, right? So this is the rolling process. And here we are saying that rolling means compressive deformation process in which the thickness of a plate is reduced by squeezing it through two rotating cylindrical rolls, right? So it is a very good definition of rolling, and you definitely understand it. Forging, the one that we just did before, was also compressive forces, right? So forging is also compressive force. This is also compressive force, but forging was just a press, and this is through rollers. So geometrically, this will be a little more complicated than simple upsetting. Here we are showing you, right, a sort of a real thing, that this is a schematic, but this is real. This is the crystal structure, the grain structure before it enters. Very uniform size grains roughly. But when you do rolling, then each of these grains elongate. They become longer. Right? And if you remember, in material science, we mentioned that when you do cold work, especially rolling, then the grains elongate, and elongated grains means that their diameter goes down. Diameter becomes small, and according to Hall-Petch equation, the strength will be higher if the diameter, average grain dia, decreases. So therefore, rolling, cold rolling, not hot, cold rolling will increase the strength of the material, right? So you are related to your previous course and reminded of the basic materials things again and again.